Hey there. Tonight, we travel to a different corner of the past, to a world cradled between the cold grey waters of the Pacific and the deep, silent green of the rainforest. We are journeying to the northwest coast of North America, to a time before the arrival of the European ships, to understand the life of the people who called this misty, magnificent landscape home. Forget the familiar images of the American West. There are no vast, sun-baked plains here, no nomadic hunters following the buffalo. Instead, we find a world of towering cedar trees, of rivers so thick with salmon you could almost walk across their backs, and of great, smoky longhouses filled with the art and intrigue of a deeply complex society. We are going to live for a time within a Native American clan of this region. We'll learn how they built a rich, settled, and powerful civilization not on agriculture, but on the incredible abundance of the sea and the forest. This is a story of cedar and salmon, of potlatches and totem poles, of a people whose lives were as intricate, as beautiful, and as formidable as the coastline they inhabited. If this kind of slow, detailed, and immersive history helps you to quiet your mind and find a measure of peace, I would be grateful if you'd like the video and subscribe to the channel, but only if these stories genuinely bring you some rest. And as always, I love to see our global community gathering. Please, feel free to leave a comment with your location and what time it is for you. It is a unique comfort to know we are all settling in together. So, dim your lights. Turn on a fan for that soft, ambient hum if you find it soothing. Get comfortable, and let's journey to the land of rain and raven, to a world carved from cedar and sustained by the sea. Part 1. The lean time. Winter. You awaken not to the sun, but to the smell of smoke. It is a rich, resinous, and comforting smell, the scent of a cedar fire that has been burning slowly all night. It is the first and last thing you perceive every day of your life during the long winter season. The air in the great house is cool and heavy with the mingled scents of wood smoke, drying fish, damp wool, and the close, warm presence of 100 other people. Your bed is a raised wooden platform, covered with thick, soft mats woven from cedar bark and topped with a heavy blanket made of mountain goat wool or the pelts of sea otters. You are warm, but the world just beyond your blankets is cold. You are a member of a high-ranking family within your clan, and your sleeping platform is located in a privileged position within the longhouse, a place of honor. This house is your universe for the winter. It is a magnificent and monumental structure, a testament to the power and the wealth of your lineage. It is not a temporary shelter. It is a permanent, ancestral home. It is built from massive cedar planks, some of them 5 or 6 feet wide, split from giant trees with wedges and stone mauls. The framework is a series of enormous cedar posts and beams, some of them intricately carved with the crests and stories of your family. The house can be over 100 feet long and 60 feet wide, a great, echoing, and smoky hall that is home to your entire extended family, sometimes more than 100 people. There are no windows. The only light comes from the central fire pit and from the smoke hole in the roof directly above it. The smoke from the fire rises, forming a thick, hazy blanket in the high rafters before finding its way out. Your eyes are perpetually accustomed to this smoky twilight. The inside of the longhouse is a city in miniature. It is divided into compartments, with each nuclear family having its own designated space along the walls. The higher a family's rank, the more prestigious their location within the house. As a member of the chief's family, your section might be at the very back of the house, opposite the door, the place of greatest honor. The house is alive with sound. Even in the pre-dawn quiet, you can hear the soft breathing and the occasional sleepy cough or murmur of your relatives. You can hear the gentle crackle of the central fire. You can hear the faint, mournful sound of the wind and the rain beating against the thick cedar planks of the roof, a sound that is a constant companion during the long, wet winter. This is a life lived in public, within the constant view of your kin. There is no concept of modern privacy. Your joys, your sorrows, your arguments, your triumphs, they are all shared, witnessed and judged by the community. This creates a powerful social pressure to behave according to the strict rules of your culture, to uphold the honor of your family and your clan. The winter is the lean time, in a sense. The salmon are no longer running in the rivers. The berries are gone from the forest. But you are not hungry. The genius of your people is in the art of preservation. The rafters of the longhouse are hung with thousands of dried, smoked salmon, their silvery skins gleaming in the firelight. There are great bentwood boxes filled with dried berries, with cakes of dried seaweed, with the precious rendered oil of the Ulicon fish. The winter is not a time of starvation, but a time of feasting. The hard work of the summer and the autumn has provided you with an abundance of stored food, and this abundance allows for the great luxury of leisure. Winter is not a time for gathering food. It is a time for consuming it, for distributing it, and for transforming that wealth into the one thing that matters more than anything else in your culture: status. You rise from your warm bed into the cool, smoky air of the great house. The fire is being built up in the central hearth. The day is beginning. It will not be a day of hard outdoor labor, but of art, of ceremony, of politics, and of the intricate, complex, and often dangerous social dance that is life inside the longhouse. The winter is the sacred season. It is a time when the veil between the physical world and the spirit world is at its thinnest. It is a time when the supernatural beings, the great, powerful, and often dangerous spirits of your people's cosmology, return to the world of men, and they return to your longhouse. The great winter ceremonials are the heart of your spiritual life. They are not quiet, reverent church services. They are powerful, dramatic, and often terrifying theatrical performances, multi-day events that involve intricate masks, elaborate costumes, songs, dances, and potent displays of supernatural power. Tonight, a ceremony is being held. The central fires in the longhouse burn high, casting flickering, dancing shadows on the great carved house posts. The air is thick with smoke and anticipation. The entire village, and perhaps guests from neighboring villages, are packed into the house, their faces illuminated by the firelight. The sound of a drum begins, a single, slow, and powerful heartbeat. Then the sound of the rattles, a dry, whispering, snake-like sound that raises the hair on your arms. And then, from the dark, shadowy corners of the house, the dancers emerge. They are not men anymore. They have been transformed. They are wearing magnificent and often terrifying masks. The masks are carved from cedar wood with incredible artistry, painted with brilliant colors, and adorned with fur, feathers, and abalone shell. Each mask represents a specific being from the spirit world. There is the dancer who embodies the raven, the great trickster and creator god of your people. His mask has a long, clacking beak. His movements are jerky, bird-like, full of a clever and mischievous energy. There is the dancer who is possessed by the spirit of the Bukwus, the wild man of the woods, a shy, elusive creature who lives on the edge of the human and the animal world. And there is the most terrifying of all, the dancer of the Hamatsa, the secret society of the cannibal spirit. His mask is huge, with a great hinged and snapping beak. He enters the house with a wild, uncontrollable cry, possessed by a supernatural hunger. He is tamed and brought back to the human world through a long, dramatic, and powerful series of songs and dances. To you, this is not a man in a mask. This is the spirit itself, made manifest, present in your home. The experience is one of profound, religious awe and terror. The children hide behind their mothers. The adults watch with a rapt and fearful attention. The dancers are not just performing, they are channeling supernatural power. They are bringing the world of myth into the world of the living. They are reenacting the great foundational stories of your people, the stories of how your ancestors encountered the spirits and were given their songs, their dances, their crests, their power. The ceremony is also a display of social power. The right to wear a certain mask, to perform a certain dance, is not open to everyone. It is a hereditary privilege, a piece of property owned by a specific family or lineage. The The ceremony is a way of publicly validating and displaying your family's spiritual wealth, its connection to the supernatural world. The songs are ancient, their melodies complex, their words full of a deep, poetic, and often obscure meaning. The drumming is powerful, hypnotic. The entire longhouse seems to pulse with the rhythm. You feel the power of the ceremony in your body, in your bones. The winter ceremonials can last for weeks. They are a time of great spiritual intensity, of danger, of transformation. They are the university, the theatre, and the church of your people. It is through these dramatic, beautiful, and terrifying performances that you learn about the true nature of your world, a world that is animated by a host of powerful, invisible, and ever-present spiritual forces, and you learn your place within it. The winter is a season of enforced leisure, a time when the great, communal labours of fishing and gathering cease. But your hands are never idle. The abundance of food and the long, dark, rainy days create the perfect conditions for another kind of work, the creation of the intricate, beautiful, and powerful art that defines your culture. In your world, there is no separate class of people called artists. Everyone is an artist, to some degree. The creation of beautiful, well-made objects is a source of pride, of status, and of spiritual power. If you are a man, much of your winter will be spent with a knife or an adze in your hand. You are a master of woodworking. The cedar tree, the great, sacred provider of your people, is your primary medium. You sit by the fire in the longhouse, a block of yellow cedar on your lap. You are carving a mask for the winter ceremonials. Your tools are simple: a set of stone or iron knives of different sizes, a small adze for rough shaping, and pieces of shark skin for sanding. The work is slow, patient, and meditative. You are not just carving a piece of wood, you are revealing the spirit that lives within it. You chip away at the wood, your movements precise and economical. The shavings fall to the floor in fragrant yellow curls. Slowly, a face begins to emerge. The sharp beak of an eagle, the fierce scowl of a bear, the enigmatic smile of an ancestor. Once the carving is done, the mask is painted. Your paints are made from natural pigments, ground from minerals and mixed with a binder of salmon eggs. The colors are limited but powerful. The black of charcoal, the white of clay, the red of ochre, the blue-green of copper oxide. You apply the paint with a brush made from porcupine hair. The designs you paint are not realistic. They are a complex, stylized and symbolic language of form lines, ovoids, and U-shapes that is unique to your culture. You might also be carving a great bentwood box. This is another masterpiece of your people's technology. You take a single, wide plank of cedar. You make a series of precise grooves or kerfs in it. You then place the plank in a pit of steaming water until it is soft and pliable. You carefully bend the plank at the kerfs, forming the four sides of a box. The single seam is then stitched together with spruce root. A bottom is fitted, and a lid is carved. The result is a seamless, and often watertight, box that is used for storing everything from food and ceremonial regalia to the bones of your ancestors. The outside of the box is often carved and painted with the crests of your family. If you are a woman, your winter work is focused on the art of weaving. You are a master of fibers. You gather the inner bark of the red cedar tree. You soak it, pound it, and separate it into fine, soft, and incredibly strong threads. From this cedar bark, you will weave the essential everyday items of your life: the soft mats you sleep on, the durable baskets you use for gathering and storage, the waterproof hats and capes that protect you from the endless rain of the northwest coast. Your greatest artistic achievement is the weaving of the Chilkat blanket. This is not a simple blanket. It is a magnificent and incredibly complex piece of ceremonial regalia, a work of art that is prized and valued as much as a great carving. It is woven not from cedar, but from the wool of the mountain goat, which is mixed with cedar bark for strength. The design of the blanket is first painted on a wooden pattern board by a man. The design is a highly abstract and symbolic representation of a family crest. The woman then translates this two-dimensional design into a woven textile, using a unique technique of twining. The colors are black, yellow, and a distinctive blue-green. The weaving of a single Chilkat blanket can take over a year. It is a work of immense skill, patience, and devotion. To wear a Chilkat blanket is to wear your history, your lineage, your spiritual power. This is the work of winter. It is a quiet, focused, and deeply creative time. You are not just making things, you are imbuing ordinary objects with beauty, with power, with meaning. You are surrounding yourself with the stories, the symbols, and the spirits of your people. Your art is not something to be hung on a wall and admired from a distance. It is something to be worn, to be used, to be danced, to be lived. It is the visible manifestation of your soul. The winter is the season of the potlatch. This is the single most important social, political, and economic institution in your world. It is a complex and magnificent ceremony that is often misunderstood by outsiders as a foolish and wasteful display. But to your people, the potlatch is the very foundation of your society. A great chief from a neighboring clan is holding a potlatch. Your own chief, your family, your entire clan has been invited. You will travel by canoe to his village, a journey that might take several days. The journey itself is a part of the ceremony, a formal procession of your clan's power and prestige. The potlatch is hosted by a chief to validate a change in his status. Perhaps he has inherited a new title. Perhaps he is naming his heir. Perhaps he is building a new house or raising a totem pole. To make these claims legitimate, he must host a potlatch. He must invite his rivals to be the official witnesses to his claim, and he must pay them for their services as witnesses. He must give them gifts. A potlatch is, at its core, a massive and spectacular distribution of wealth. You arrive at the host village. You are greeted with great ceremony. You are led into the chief's great longhouse, which is packed with hundreds of people. The air is thick with the smell of smoke, of feasting, of power. The ceremony begins. It is a multi-day affair of feasting, of speech-making, of singing, of dancing. The host chief and his family will perform the sacred songs and dances that are their exclusive, inherited property. They will tell the stories of their ancestors, of their encounters with the spirit world, of how they acquired the crests and the privileges that they are now claiming. The masks will come out. The spirits will dance. It is a powerful display of spiritual wealth. But the climax of the potlatch is the distribution of the gifts. The host chief has spent years, sometimes decades, accumulating the wealth that he will now give away. Piles of blankets, hundreds of them, are brought out. The Chilkat blankets, the Hudson's Bay Company trade blankets. They are stacked to the ceiling. Great carved cedar chests, filled with precious goods. Canoes, shields made of copper, a valuable and prestigious metal, and food, mountains of smoked salmon, of Eulicon oil, of dried berries. The host chief, with great ceremony, will call forward the visiting chiefs, one by one. He will make a long, eloquent speech, praising the guest, but also subtly reminding him of his own superior status. And then he will give him a gift. The value of the gift is precisely calibrated. It is a reflection of the guest's rank. A high-ranking chief will receive a great pile of blankets, a canoe, a copper shield. A lesser chief will receive a smaller, but still substantial, gift. Every single person who attends, down to the youngest child, will receive something. The giving of gifts is not an act of generosity in the modern sense. It is a political and economic weapon. By giving away a vast amount of wealth, the host chief is demonstrating his power, his prestige, his connection to the supernatural world. He is shaming his rivals with his immense capacity to accumulate and to distribute wealth. He is, in essence, fighting a war with property. The visiting chiefs, in turn, are obligated to accept the gifts. To refuse a gift would be a grave insult, but by accepting the gift, they are validating the host chief's claims. They are acting as his paid witnesses, and they are now in his debt. They will be expected, at some point in the future, to host their own potlatch, and to give back a gift of even greater value. The potlatch is a complex and dynamic system for distributing wealth, for validating social status, for maintaining alliances, for settling disputes. It is the engine that drives the entire economy. The desire to accumulate wealth for a future potlatch is what motivates people to work hard, to produce more than they need for their own subsistence. It is also a system that can be incredibly destructive. Rival chiefs can engage in a kind of potlatch arms race, each one trying to outdo the other, sometimes giving away or even destroying all of their possessions in a final, spectacular display of pride and contempt. You watch the great ceremony, your mind reeling at the sheer scale of the wealth being given away. You, as a member of the guest clan, will receive your own small gift. But more importantly, you are a witness. You are a participant in the great, endless, and often ruthless game of status and power that is at the heart of your world. Part 2. The time of new growth. Spring. The winter, with its long, dark nights of ceremony and story, is finally over. The first real sign of the change is the quality of the rain. The cold, sleety drizzle of winter is replaced by a softer, gentler rain, a rain that smells of damp earth and new life. The great, snow-capped mountains that tower over your coastal world begin to weep, their meltwater swelling the rivers and turning the world into a landscape of 1,000 waterfalls. A restless energy begins to stir within the longhouse. The confinement of the winter village, which felt so cozy and secure during the storms, now begins to feel oppressive. The world outside is calling. The sea is calling. It is time to leave the permanent winter village and move to the seasonal camps. The great, monumental longhouses will be left, empty and silent. For the summer, your life is about to become mobile again. The process of moving is an organized and efficient one. Your family packs its essential belongings, its tools, its fishing gear, its mats and blankets into your great cedar dugout canoes. These canoes are the key to your life on the coast. They are your transportation, your fishing boats, your connection to the wider world. The entire village participates in the move. A great flotilla of canoes, some of them over 60 feet long and carrying dozens of people and tons of gear, sets out from the beach of your winter village. You paddle out into the cold, grey and choppy waters of the Pacific. The coastline of your world is a dramatic and beautiful one, a maze of islands, inlets and fjords, with the dark, misty rainforest plunging directly down to the sea. You are heading to a specific place, a seasonal camp that your family or your clan has been using for generations. It might be located at the mouth of a particular river, near a good fishing spot, or on a beach that is ideal for landing canoes. These sites are owned, just as the winter villages are. The right to use them is a hereditary privilege. The journey by canoe can take several days. You paddle during the day, your muscles straining against the pull of the current and the wind. At night, you pull your canoes up onto a sheltered beach. You build a quick, temporary shelter of cedar planks and bark, and you sleep to the sound of the waves and the cries of the gulls. When you arrive at your spring camp, it is a scene of frenetic activity. The camp is not as substantial as your winter village. The houses are smaller, more temporary structures, but they are quickly made habitable. The focus of your life has now shifted entirely from the forest to the sea. The air is filled with the sharp, clean, salty smell of the ocean. The sound of the waves is your new constant companion. The work of spring is about to begin. It is a work of harvesting the first great bounty of the sea. The long, lean time of winter is a memory. The time of abundance is at hand. You stand on the beach of your new camp, the cold spray of the Pacific on your face, and you feel a sense of excitement, of renewal, of a deep and abiding connection to the great, powerful, and generous ocean that is the true source of your life. The world has thawed, and the sea is calling you home. The first great harvest of the year does not come from the earth, but from the sea. In the early spring, a natural event of incredible, almost miraculous abundance occurs. It is the Eulachon run. The Eulachon, or candlefish, is a small, silvery, smelt-like fish. For most of the year, it lives in the deep, cold waters of the ocean. But every spring, driven by an ancient, instinctual command, they return by the millions to the freshwater rivers of your homeland to spawn. Their arrival is a spectacle of nature that is almost impossible to comprehend. The rivers, which were empty just a few days ago, are now choked with a solid, writhing, shimmering mass of fish. The sheer number of them is staggering. You can dip a basket into the river and pull it out, heavy and overflowing with fish. This is a time of great feasting and of great labor. The entire village mobilizes to harvest this incredible bounty. The methods of catching the eulachon are ingenious and efficient. You might use a long pole with a series of sharp, nail-like spikes, a fish rake, which you sweep through the water, impaling dozens of fish with each pass. You might use large dip nets woven from cedar bark or nettle fiber, or you might build a weir, a fence-like trap, across the mouth of a smaller stream, which funnels the fish into a concentrated area where they can be easily scooped up. The work is frantic and joyful. You work for days, with little sleep. The canoes are filled to the brim with a silvery, wriggling fish. The beaches are piled high with them. You eat your fill of the fresh eulachon. They are roasted over an open fire, their flesh rich and oily. It is the first fresh food you have had in months, and it tastes like life itself. But most of the catch is not for immediate consumption. The eulachon is prized for one thing above all else: its oil. The fish is so oily that a dried one can be fitted with a wick and lit like a candle, hence the name candlefish. This oil is the most important trade commodity in your world. It is a liquid gold. The process of rendering the oil is a smelly, messy, and laborious one, performed primarily by the women and the slaves. The fish are allowed to decompose for several days in a large pit. This breaks down their flesh and makes it easier to extract the oil. The smell of the stink pits is overpowering, a stench that can be smelled for miles. The rotten fish is then placed in a large wooden canoe or a hollowed-out log filled with water. Hot rocks, heated in a nearby fire, are then dropped into the canoe. The water comes to a boil, and the oil from the fish rises to the surface. The women skim this precious oil off with large ladles and pour it into bentwood boxes for storage. The eulachon oil is a vital part of your diet, a rich source of calories and essential fatty acids. You will dip your dried salmon into it. You will mix it with berries. It is your butter, your olive oil. But its greatest value is as a trade good. The oil is traded in a vast network that extends for hundreds of miles into the interior. The peoples of the dry inland plateau, who do not have access to the riches of the sea, will trade valuable goods animal hides, obsidian, goat wool for a single box of your precious eulachon oil. The grease trails are the great trade arteries of your world. The eulachon run lasts for only a few short weeks. It is a time of intense, exhausting, and smelly labor. But it is also a time of incredible, almost unbelievable abundance. It is the first great gift of the sea, a sign that the world has truly reawakened. As you look at the rows of bentwood boxes, filled with the golden, translucent eulachon oil, you see more than just preserved food. You see wealth. You see power. You see the currency that will allow you to engage in the great game of trade and potlatch that defines your world. The silver tide has come in, and it has made your people rich once again. The spring is a time of new growth, not just for the plants, but for your village itself. Perhaps your clan is growing, and you need a new house. Perhaps your chief is planning to raise a great totem pole to commemorate a potlatch. For any of these great works, you will need the single most important resource in your world, the cedar tree. The western red cedar is not just a tree to your people, it is the tree of life. It is a sacred being, a benevolent spirit that provides you with almost everything you need to live. Its wood gives you your houses, your canoes, your tools, your art. Its bark gives you your clothing, your rope, your baskets. Its roots can be woven into strong cordage. The felling of a great cedar tree is not a simple act of logging. It is a major undertaking, a process that is steeped in ritual, in respect, and in a profound understanding of the tree's spiritual importance. First, the right tree must be chosen. The master carver of your village will spend days searching the vast, dense rainforest for the perfect tree. He is looking for a tree that is tall, straight, and free of knots and blemishes. He is looking for a tree that is hundreds, sometimes thousands, of years old, a giant that has stood in this forest since the time of your distant ancestors. When the tree is chosen, a ceremony must be performed. The carver, along with a shaman or a spiritual leader, will go to the base of the tree. They will speak to it. They will pray to its spirit. They will explain why they need to take its life. They will promise to use every part of it wisely and with respect. They will offer a gift, a sprinkling of sacred eagle down, a song. They are asking the tree for its permission, for its sacrifice. Then, the hard, dangerous, and incredibly laborious work of felling the tree begins. You do not have metal saws. Your tools are made of stone, bone, and wood. You use heavy stone mauls and a series of wedges made of yew wood, a wood that is harder than the cedar. You begin by cutting a deep notch into one side of the great tree. You hammer the wedges into the wood, slowly, painstakingly, chipping away at the massive trunk. You also use fire. You build a controlled fire at the base of the tree, in the notch you have cut. You let the fire burn for a while, charring and weakening the wood. Then you extinguish the fire and scrape away the charred wood with a stone adze, a tool like a small handheld axe. This process is repeated over and over again. Chipping, burning, scraping. Chipping, burning, scraping. It is a slow, methodical, and exhausting process. It can take several men, several weeks to fell a single, large cedar tree. The work is also incredibly dangerous. You are working at the base of a tree that is 200 feet tall and weighs many tons. You must be a master of engineering, of physics. You must know exactly how to cut the notch so that the tree will fall in the desired direction, so that it will not shatter when it hits the ground, and so that it will not crush the men who are felling it. Finally, the moment comes. You hear a great, groaning, cracking sound from the heart of the tree. The men shout a warning and scramble for safety. The giant tree begins to lean. It falls slowly at first, and then with a great rushing and thunderous roar, it crashes to the forest floor, shaking the very earth. A profound silence falls over the forest. You and the other men stand for a moment in quiet reverence. You have taken a great life. You have taken a being that was ancient when your grandfather was a boy. But the work is not over. The great log must now be moved from the forest to the village. It must be limbed, and then, through a process of immense, coordinated labor, using levers, rollers, and ropes, it must be skidded and floated down the rivers to your home. The felling of a cedar tree is one of the most difficult and significant tasks your people will ever undertake. It is a testament to your ingenuity, your cooperation, and your physical endurance. And it is a powerful reminder of your relationship with the natural world. You are not its master. You are a humble and grateful beneficiary of its immense and sacred bounty. The great cedar log now lies near the village, a sleeping giant waiting to be given a new life. Its destiny is to become the most important piece of technology your people possess, the object that grants you mastery over your coastal world, the dugout canoe. The creation of a canoe is not carpentry, it is sculpture. It is a process of subtraction, of removing everything that is not a boat from a single massive piece of wood. It is a task that will take months of skilled, patient, and incredibly hard labor, and it is presided over by a master canoe maker. The work begins with the outer hull. Using stone or iron adzes, the master carver and his assistants begin to shape the log. The sound of the adzes chipping away at the wood is a steady, rhythmic music that will become a part of the village's soundscape for the entire season. They are not just hacking away, they are following the grain of the wood, their cuts precise and controlled. They shape the sharp, elegant prow, designed to cut through the Pacific chop. They shape the stern. Slowly, the rough log begins to take on the graceful, beautiful form of a canoe. Once the outer shape is complete, the hollowing begins. This is done with a combination of fire and adzes. A small, controlled fire is built along the top of the log. It is allowed to burn down into the wood, charring it, making it soft and easy to remove. The carvers then use their adzes to scrape away the charred wood. This process is repeated over and over again. Burn, scrape, burn, scrape. It is a slow, methodical, and incredibly precise process. The carvers must be careful not to burn too deeply, not to make the hull too thin. They will constantly measure the thickness of the hull with their hands, feeling for any inconsistencies. After weeks of this work, the canoe is hollowed out. It is now a rough, heavy, and relatively narrow vessel. The next stage is the most ingenious and dangerous part of the entire process. The canoe must be widened. The hollowed-out canoe is filled with water. Large rocks are then heated in a great fire until they are white-hot. Using wooden tongs, the men will drop these searingly hot rocks into the water in the canoe. The water erupts into a violent, boiling cloud of steam. The steam soaks into the wood of the hull, making it soft and pliable. As the wood softens, the carvers begin to insert thwarts, heavy wooden crosspieces, into the canoe. They hammer these thwarts into place, slowly, carefully, forcing the sides of the canoe to spread apart. This is a moment of great tension. If they spread the sides too fast or too far, the hull will crack, and months of work will be destroyed. The master carver listens to the groaning of the wood, his hand feeling the temperature, his eyes watching for the smallest sign of stress. He works with a combination of brute force and delicate sensitivity. He is in a conversation with the wood, with the steam, with the fire. He is coaxing the canoe into its final, beautiful shape. When the canoe has been widened to the desired beam, the thwarts are left in place, and the canoe is allowed to cool and dry. The wood will harden in its new, wider shape, creating a vessel that is stable, spacious, and incredibly seaworthy. The final stage is the finishing. The inside and the outside of the canoe are scraped and sanded smooth with shark skin until the cedar gleams. The prow and the stern are often carved and painted with the crests of the family or the clan who will own the canoe. It is now not just a boat. It is a work of art, a symbol of identity and prestige. A great canoe can be over 60 feet long. It can carry dozens of people and several tons of cargo. It is capable of traveling for hundreds of miles on the open ocean. It is your family's car, your moving van, your fishing boat, your warship. It is the tool that allows you to harvest the riches of the sea. It is the vessel that connects you to other villages, other peoples. As you look at the finished canoe, lying on the beach, its elegant lines and its smooth, glowing surface, you feel a sense of profound awe. You have witnessed the transformation of a tree into a magnificent vessel. You have seen how your people, with their simple tools and their deep ancient knowledge, can create objects of such power and beauty. The canoe is life, and it is ready to take you out onto the great, grey and bountiful waters of the sea. Part 3. The time of the salmon, summer. The long green days of summer have arrived. The air is warm and heavy with the scent of the rainforest and the salt of the sea. And a new sense of anticipation begins to build in your village, a feeling that is even more profound than the one that preceded the Yulikon run. The greatest and most important event of the year is at hand. The salmon are coming home. The salmon are not just a source of food to your people. They are the foundation of your entire civilization. They are the reason you can live in permanent villages, the reason you have the leisure time to create your magnificent art, the reason your culture is so rich and so complex. The salmon are, in a very real sense, your people in fish form. They are your brothers, your sisters, your relatives who live in the great mysterious village under the sea. Your cosmology tells you that the salmon are a race of supernatural beings who, out of compassion for your ancestors, offered to sacrifice themselves each year to feed you. They take on the form of fish, and they swim up the rivers to your villages. But they are still a people, and you must treat them with the utmost respect. There are 5 great nations of salmon people: the Chinook, the Sockeye, the Coho, the Pink, and the Chum. Each nation returns to the rivers at a slightly different time during the summer and the fall. The arrival of the first great run, usually the sockeye or the chinook, is a sacred and joyful occasion. The first salmon of the season to be caught is treated with the reverence of a visiting chief. It is brought into the village with great ceremony. It is laid on a bed of fresh cedar boughs. An elder will perform the first salmon ceremony. He will speak to the fish, his voice full of respect and gratitude. He will thank the salmon people for returning. He will promise that your people will not be wasteful, that you will treat their bodies with care. He will offer a prayer that they will return again next year. The fish is then cooked, and a small piece of its flesh is shared by everyone in the village, a communal act of thanks and of welcome. The bones of the first salmon are then carefully gathered and returned to the river, so that its spirit can return to its home under the sea and tell the other salmon people that it was treated with honor and respect, thus ensuring that they will return again next year. After the first salmon ceremony is complete, the great communal harvest can begin. The rivers are transformed. A few days ago, they were clear, green, and empty. Now they are a solid, writhing mass of fish, their red and silver bodies so thick in the water that it seems you could walk across their backs. They are driven by an instinct so powerful that it defies comprehension, a deep, cellular need to return to the exact spot where they were born, to spawn, and to die. Their journey is a heroic and tragic one. They fight their way up the rapids. They leap over waterfalls. They navigate 1,000 miles of treacherous water, their bodies growing weaker, their beautiful silver skin turning a bruised and battered red. And you are waiting for them. You are the final and most dangerous obstacle in their epic journey. You feel a mixture of gratitude, of excitement, and of a deep, sorrowful respect for these magnificent creatures who are about to give their lives to sustain yours. The nets are mended, the weirs are repaired, the fish spears are sharpened, the smokehouses are prepared. The entire village mobilizes for the great, frantic, and absolutely essential work of the salmon harvest. The salmon people have returned home, and you are ready to welcome them. The salmon have returned to the river in a great, teeming silver tide, and your people have developed a method of harvesting them that is a masterpiece of engineering, of community cooperation, and of a deep understanding of the behavior of the fish. It is the salmon weir. A weir is, in essence, a large, fence-like trap that is built completely across a river. It is a monumental undertaking, a great public works project that requires the labor of the entire village. The construction begins in the late spring, when the river is at its lowest. The men of the village will drive hundreds of heavy cedar stakes into the riverbed, forming a strong, permanent framework that can withstand the force of the current. Then, they weave a flexible lattice of smaller wooden poles or cedar withes between the stakes. This forms a fence that is strong enough to stop the salmon, but that allows the water to flow through. The weir is not a solid wall. It is a complex structure of gates and traps. There are openings in the fence that lead into large basket-like traps, also woven from cedar. The salmon, in their relentless journey upstream, will swim through the openings and become trapped in these baskets. The weir is not just a tool, it is a piece of property. The right to build a weir at a specific location on a river is owned by a particular clan or a high-ranking chief. Different families within that clan will have the rights to specific traps or sections of the weir. It is a complex system of ownership and obligation. When the salmon run begins, the weir is put into operation. The traps are checked several times a day. They are often so full of fish that it takes several men to haul them from the water. The canoes are filled to the brim with the great, struggling silver fish. The weir is an incredibly efficient and sustainable method of fishing. It allows you to catch a huge number of fish in a short period of time, but it also allows a significant portion of the salmon run to escape, to continue their journey upstream to spawn. Your people understand that you must not take all the fish. You must allow the salmon people to reproduce, to ensure that they will return again next year. The weir is a tool of harvest, but also a tool of conservation. The weir is a scene of constant, organized activity. Men are in the water, spearing the fish that congregate at the base of the weir. Others are emptying the traps. Women and children are on the riverbank, carrying the overflowing baskets of fish to the processing area. The sound is a symphony of life and death. The roar of the river, the shouts of the people, the splashing and struggling of thousands of fish. The air is filled with the clean, cold smell of the river and the strong, fishy smell of the harvest. The weir is more than just a fishing trap. It is a symbol of your community. It is a physical manifestation of your ability to work together to achieve a common goal. It is a testament to your ingenuity, to your engineering skill, and to your deep, practical knowledge of the natural world. It is a monument built of wood, of stone, of sinew, and of a profound and ancient understanding of the sacred rhythm of the river. It is the great, clever, and respectful trap that allows your people to catch the blessing of the sea. The harvest from the river has been immense. The canoes are beached, filled to the gunwales with thousands of pounds of salmon. But the fresh fish will spoil quickly. The great work of the summer is not just catching the salmon, but preserving them, transforming this temporary, spectacular bounty into a stable, long-lasting food source that will feed your people through the entire year. This is the work of preservation, and it is a vast, complex, and highly skilled industrial process, performed primarily by the women. The riverbank becomes a great open-air factory. The scene is one of organized, efficient, and bloody labor. The women work in teams. They sit on the ground, on clean mats of cedar bark. Piles of fresh silver salmon are placed before them. With their specialized knives, made of sharp slate or shell, they begin the process of butchering. The work is fast, precise, and methodical. Each woman has a specific task. One will gut the fish, removing the internal organs. Another will chop off the head. Another will fillet the fish, cutting the thick, red flesh away from the backbone in two neat pieces. The backbones, with some flesh still clinging to them, are not discarded. They will be hung to dry separately. The filleted pieces of salmon are then taken to the smokehouses. A smokehouse is a large, windowless shed, built of the same cedar planks as your home. Inside, a series of racks and poles has been constructed. The fillets of salmon are hung over these racks. They are not packed tightly together. There must be space between them for the smoke to circulate. The walls of the smokehouse are soon covered with thousands of pieces of dripping, red fish. A fire is built on the floor of the smokehouse. It is not a hot, flaming fire. It is a slow, smouldering fire of green alder or crabapple wood. This type of wood produces a cool, dense, and fragrant smoke. The smoke does two things. It slowly draws the moisture out of the fish, dehydrating it, and it infuses the flesh with natural chemicals that act as a powerful preservative and give the smoked salmon its characteristic, delicious flavor. The smokehouses are kept going day and night, for weeks. The women must tend the fires constantly, ensuring that they produce smoke, not flame. The entire village is cloaked in a thick, hazy, and beautifully fragrant cloud of alder smoke. It is the scent of summer, the perfume of abundance. After several weeks in the smokehouse, the salmon is fully cured. It is now a hard, dry, and chewy product, almost like a fish jerky. It has lost most of its weight, but it has retained all of its nutritional value, and it will last for months, even years, if kept in a cool, dry place. While most of the salmon is smoked, other preservation methods are also used. Some of the fish is simply dried in the sun, without smoking. Some of it is packed in salt, if salt is available. And the salmon eggs, a great delicacy, are salted and dried, or they are preserved in eulachon oil. Nothing is wasted. The heads, the tails, the bones, they are all boiled down to create a rich fish stock. The work of preservation is grueling. The women work from dawn until dusk, their hands sore and chapped, their clothes and hair permanently imbued with the smell of fish and smoke. It is a race against time, a battle against decay, but it is also a work of profound satisfaction. With every fish that is gutted, with every fillet that is hung in the smokehouse, you are building a wall against the hunger of the coming winter. At the end of the summer, the rafters of your longhouse will be hung with thousands of pounds of dried, smoked salmon. The great bentwood boxes will be filled with it. The sight of this stored wealth, this tangible proof of a successful year, is a source of immense security and pride. You have taken the great, fleeting gift of the river, and through your labor and your knowledge, you have transformed it into a permanent and life-sustaining fortune. The salmon people have fulfilled their promise, and you have done them honor. While the salmon and the eulachon are the great gifts of the sea, the land, the vast, temperate rainforest that surrounds your village, provides you with its own equally important forms of bounty. Your life is woven from the fibers of the forest, and your warmth comes from the creatures of the high mountains. The most important plant in your world is the western red cedar. You have already seen how the men use its magnificent wood to create your houses, your canoes, your boxes, your art. But the women have their own, equally important relationship with the cedar. They use its bark. In the spring, when the sap is running, the women will go into the forest and peel long, continuous strips of the inner bark from the cedar trees. This is done with great care, so as not to kill the tree. They are harvesting a part of the tree, not taking its life. This inner bark is then taken back to the village, where it is soaked in water and then split into fine, soft, and incredibly strong fibers. This is the thread of your civilization. From these cedar bark fibers, the women will weave a huge variety of essential items. They will weave soft, absorbent mats that are used for everything. For sitting on, for sleeping on, for wrapping the dead. They will weave sturdy, flexible baskets of all shapes and sizes, baskets for gathering berries, for storing food, for carrying water. The weave can be so tight that the baskets are completely waterproof. And they will weave your clothing. Your everyday clothes are not made of animal skins. They are made of cedar bark. The women will weave the soft fibers into comfortable, durable, and surprisingly water-resistant skirts, capes, and hats. The conical, wide-brimmed rain hat, a classic icon of your culture, is a masterpiece of both form and function, designed to shed the constant rain of your coastal world. The other great gift of the land comes from the high, inaccessible peaks of the coastal mountains. It is the mountain goat. The men will occasionally go on long, dangerous hunting expeditions into the high country to hunt these elusive animals. They are hunted not just for their meat, but for their wool. The mountain goat has a coat of long, coarse guard hairs, but underneath is a downy, incredibly soft and warm undercoat. This wool is a precious and valuable commodity. It is the primary material for the weaving of your people's most magnificent textile, the chilkat blanket. The weaving of a chilkat blanket is a task of immense skill and spiritual significance, performed by high-ranking women. The mountain goat wool is spun into a fine, strong yarn, often mixed with yellow cedar bark for added durability. The yarn is then dyed with natural pigments, the black of hemlock bark, the yellow of wolf moss, the blue-green of copper. The weaver does not work from her own imagination. She works from a pattern board, a wooden plank on which a man has painted the design for the blanket. The design is a highly abstract and symbolic representation of a family crest, an animal like the bear, the eagle, or the killer whale. The woman's job is to translate this two-dimensional painting into a woven textile. She uses a unique and complex weaving technique called twining. The blanket is not woven on a traditional loom, but on a simple, upright frame. The work is incredibly slow and painstaking. A single blanket can take a year or more to complete. The result is a work of art of stunning power and beauty. It is not just a blanket, it is a piece of ceremonial regalia, a sacred object. It is worn by chiefs during potlatches and other important ceremonies. It is a visual manifestation of their history, their lineage, their spiritual power. To wear a chilkat blanket is to be wrapped in the very essence of your culture. This is your world. It is a world made of wood and wool, of cedar and salmon. It is a world where every object, from a simple storage basket to a magnificent ceremonial blanket, is created with a skill, an artistry, and a deep, abiding respect for the natural materials from which it is made. Your life is literally woven from the gifts of the land and the sea. Part 4. The time of storms. Autumn. The air is changing. The warm, humid days of summer are giving way to the cool, crisp, and often stormy days of autumn. The season of the great salmon runs is ending, but the earth and the sea still have a few final gifts to offer before the world settles into its long winter sleep. The autumn is a time of final harvests, of gathering the last of the bounty that will see you through the coming darkness. The focus of your work shifts from the rivers to the forests and the beaches. The women and children of the village will spend many days in the forest, gathering the last of the season's berries. The huckleberries and salal berries are ripe now, their dark, sweet fruit, a final taste of summer's sweetness. They are gathered in large baskets. Some will be eaten fresh, but most will be mashed into a paste and dried in the sun on cedar bark mats, creating hard, leathery cakes of fruit that will provide a vital source of vitamin C during the winter. You will also gather the edible roots and shoots of the forest, the roots of ferns, the bulbs of camas lilies, the starchy rhizomes of cattails. Your people have an encyclopedic knowledge of the plant world, a deep understanding of what is edible, what is medicinal, and what is poisonous. The men will go on the last great hunts of the year. The deer and the elk in the mountains have grown fat over the summer. Their meat is at its prime, and their hides are thick and heavy. A successful deer hunt in the autumn can provide a significant addition to your winter stores. But perhaps the most important of the autumn harvests takes place on the beach, at the edge of the great ocean. During the lowest tides of the autumn, vast areas of the intertidal zone are exposed. The beaches and the rocky shorelines become a great, open-air larder. The entire village will move to the coast for the clam harvest. The women will walk the muddy tide flats, their baskets on their backs, their digging sticks in their hands. They can read the signs of the beach as expertly as a hunter reads the signs of the forest. They know where to find the different kinds of clams, the butter clams, the horse clams, the cockles. They will dig for hours in the cold, wet mud, their baskets growing heavy. The men will go to the rocky outer coasts to hunt for sea mammals. The sea otter, with its incredibly thick and luxurious pelt, is a primary target. The fur is one of the most valuable trade items on the coast. The harbour seal is also hunted for its meat and its oil-rich blubber. And you will gather the seaweed. The great kelp forests that grow just offshore are another source of food. Different kinds of seaweed are gathered, dried in the sun, and stored for the winter. It will be used to flavour your soups and stews, a salty, savoury taste of the sea in the middle of the winter. The autumn is a time of industrious and varied activity. You are gleaning the last of the world's abundance, gathering every available resource, preparing your fortress for the long siege of winter. The weather is often stormy. The winds blow hard from the sea. The rain falls in cold, driving sheets. But you work on. You are driven by the ancient, powerful knowledge that the lean time is coming. As you look at your burgeoning storerooms, filled now not just with salmon, but with dried berries, with smoked venison, with sacks of dried clams, with cakes of seaweed, you feel a sense of deep and primal security. You have done the work. You have gathered the gifts. You have provided for your family. The storms can howl. The snow can fall. You are ready. The air now carries the unmistakable, sharp scent of snow from the high peaks. The last of the migratory birds have flown south. The sun is a pale, weak disk in a sky that is often a uniform leaden grey. The time for living in the temporary camps of the coast and the rivers is over. It is time to go home. It is time to return to the great, permanent winter village. The final move of the year is a journey filled with a different kind of emotion. It is not the hopeful, outward-looking energy of the spring move. It is a sense of turning inward, of homecoming, of preparation for a long period of confinement and rest. The great dugout canoes are loaded for the last time. But they are not loaded with the simple gear of the spring. They are now heavily burdened with the incredible wealth of a year's hard work. There are great heavy boxes of smoked salmon. There are sacks of dried clams and seaweed. There are bundles of furs and tanned hides. There are baskets of dried berries and roots. Your canoe is a floating storeroom, a testament to your family's industry and success. The journey back to the winter village is often a difficult and dangerous one. The autumn storms can whip the coastal waters into a treacherous, chaotic fury. You must paddle your heavy, sluggish canoe through high winds and rough seas. It requires all of your skill, all of your strength, all of your intimate knowledge of the coastline. After days of hard travel, you finally see it. The familiar sight of the bay where your winter village is nestled. You see the great, silent, and weathered forms of the longhouses, standing like sleeping giants among the tall cedar and spruce trees. You guide your canoe onto the beach. The entire village has returned. The beach is a scene of organized chaos as hundreds of people work to unload their canoes, to haul their great stores of food and wealth up to the longhouses. You step inside your ancestral home. The air is cool, damp, and smells of old smoke and cold ashes. It has been empty and silent all summer, and it feels vast and cavernous. The work of re-inhabiting the house begins. The women will unroll the sleeping mats. They will hang the heavy robes and blankets. They will organize the storerooms. The central fire is lit once again. Its smoke begins to curl up towards the smoke hole in the roof. Its warmth begins to push back against the damp chill of the house. Slowly, over the course of a few days, the great, empty house comes back to life. It is filled once again with the sounds of people, with the smell of cooking food, with the laughter of children. You feel a profound sense of homecoming. This is the center of your world. This is the house that your father and your grandfather lived in. This is the house where you were born. Its great carved posts tell the story of your lineage. Its smoky, ancient timbers are soaked with the memories of your people. You have spent the spring, the summer, the autumn gathering the riches of the outer world. Now you have brought that wealth home, back to the sacred, protected center. You have completed the great, seasonal cycle of your life. The world outside can now turn to winter. The snow can fall. The storms can rage. You are safe. You are home. And you are ready for the long, dark, and sacred season of the spirits. The winter storms rage outside, a constant drumming of rain and howling of wind against the thick cedar walls of your longhouse. Inside, in the warm, smoky, fire-lit world of your winter home, a different kind of creation is underway. The great cedar log that was felled in the spring, the one that was not destined to become a canoe, is now being given its ultimate purpose. It is being transformed into a great housepost or a memorial pole, a towering, magnificent work of art that will tell the story of your clan for generations to come. The work is presided over by the master carver. He is not just a skilled craftsman. He is a historian, a theologian, a keeper of the sacred stories. He is the man who can make wood speak. The massive log lies in a sheltered area near the longhouse. The carver has spent weeks studying it, walking around it, listening to it. He is looking for the story that already lives within the wood. The design for the pole is not a product of his own imagination. The design is an ancient and sacred one, the property of your clan. It is a visual representation of your lineage, your history, your crests. The crests are the animals and supernatural beings that your ancestors encountered in the mythical past, the beings who granted your family its names, its songs, its dances, its power. Perhaps your primary crest is the raven, the great trickster who brought light to the world. Perhaps it is the bear, the killer whale, or the thunderbird. The carver begins by sketching the design onto the surface of the log with a piece of charcoal. And then, the slow, patient, and incredibly skilled work of carving begins. His tools are simple but effective. He uses a variety of adzes, some with long handles for removing large chunks of wood, some with short, curved blades for the fine, detailed work. He uses sharp knives made of stone, bone, or iron for the intricate lines. He uses chisels and mallets. The sound of his adze striking the wood is a steady, rhythmic, and musical sound, a counterpoint to the drumming of the rain outside. He works with a profound focus, his body moving with a graceful, practiced economy. He is not just cutting wood, he is releasing the forms that are trapped within it. Slowly, over the course of the long winter months, the figures begin to emerge from the log. The sharp, intelligent beak of the raven, the powerful, clawed paw of the bear, the enigmatic, human-like face of a spirit being from the bottom of the sea. The figures are not carved realistically. They are carved in the unique, stylized, and powerful artistic language of your people, a language of form lines, ovoids, and U-shapes. The figures on the pole are not just a random collection of animals. They are arranged in a specific, narrative order. The pole is a story, a history book, a legal document. It tells the story of your clan's origins. It displays the crests that are your property, your title deed to your lands, your fishing sites, your names, your songs. To display a crest that you do not have the right to is a grave social crime. As the carving nears completion, the pole is sanded smooth with the rough skin of a shark or a dogfish. And then, it is painted. The master carver uses the same natural pigments as the mask makers, the black of charcoal, the red of ochre, the blue-green of copper oxide. The paint is applied only to specific parts of the carving, to the eyes, the lips, the joints, to accentuate the forms and to bring the figures to life. When the pole is finally finished, it is a magnificent and awe-inspiring object. It is a towering monument of wood and paint, a vibrant and powerful statement of your clan's identity, its history, its power. In the spring, when the weather clears, the entire village will participate in the raising of the pole. It is a great ceremony, accompanied by feasting, singing, and dancing. The raising of a new pole is a major social and political event, a reaffirmation of your clan's status and its rightful place in the world. As you stand before the newly erected pole, its great, carved faces staring out over the village, you feel a profound sense of pride and of continuity. You see your own history, your own identity, made manifest in the wood. The pole is a silent storyteller, a guardian of your heritage. It will stand for generations, a testament to the skill of the carver, the power of your ancestors, and the enduring spirit of your people. Your life is governed by a set of rules that are as complex, as rigid, and as unyielding as the great cedar carvings that adorn your house. Your society is not an egalitarian one. It is a deeply stratified, hierarchical world, a social labyrinth where every person has a specific, and often unchangeable, place. Your identity is not just who you are as an individual. It is where you stand in the great intricate web of kinship, rank, and privilege. There are three main classes of people in your world: the nobles, the commoners, and the slaves. You are a member of a noble family, perhaps the family of the village chief. Your life is one of privilege, but also of great responsibility. Your bloodline is your most important possession. You are a descendant of the great mythical ancestors who founded your clan. You have inherited the rights to the names, the songs, the dances, the crests that tell the story of those ancestors. Your primary duty is to uphold the honor and the prestige of your lineage. You must be a guardian of your family's property, both physical and spiritual. You must know the stories, the songs, the genealogies. You are expected to be generous, to host great feasts and potlatches, to distribute your wealth to the community. Your power is not based on hoarding wealth, but on giving it away. Your marriage will not be a matter of personal choice or romantic love. It will be a strategic alliance, arranged by your elders to create or to solidify a political and economic bond with another high-ranking family. If you are a commoner, you are still a respected member of the clan. You are a fisherman, a carver, a weaver. You have rights. You have a place in the longhouse. You participate in the ceremonies. But you do not have the same privileges as the nobility. You do not own the most important names, the most powerful masks, the most productive fishing sites. You are a supporter of your chief, a contributor to his wealth, a witness at his potlatches. Your life is one of hard work and of loyalty to your lineage. And then there are the slaves. They are at the very bottom of your society. They are not members of your clan. They are outsiders, captives taken in raids on enemy villages. They are property. They have no rights, no family, no name. They are owned by the high-ranking chiefs. Their lives are ones of unceasing labor and constant humiliation. They do the most menial and the most unpleasant tasks. They gather the firewood, they haul the water, they clean the fish, they process the stinking eulachon. They are often treated harshly, and their lives are expendable. In some of the most extreme and dramatic potlatches of the past, a chief might even kill a slave to demonstrate his utter contempt for wealth and his supreme power. This rigid social structure is the framework of your world. It is a system that is held in place by tradition, by religion, and by the complex rules of kinship. Your society is likely matrilineal, which means that your identity, your name, and your inheritance pass through your mother's line. Your most important male relative is not your father, but your mother's brother. He is the one who will teach you, who will guide you, who will pass on the privileges of his lineage to you. You learn your place in this social labyrinth from the moment you are born. You learn who you must show deference to, who you are related to, what your obligations are. You learn the intricate rules of etiquette. You learn that every social interaction, from a simple conversation to a great potlatch, is a negotiation of status and power. It is a world that, to an outsider, might seem rigid, oppressive, and unjust. But to you, it is simply the way the world is. It is an ancient, orderly, and deeply meaningful system that gives your life structure, purpose, and a profound sense of place. You know who you are, you know where you belong, and in the complex, demanding, and often dangerous world of the Northwest Coast, that knowledge is the ultimate form of security. And so, the great, seasonal wheel turns once more. The winter ceremonies give way to the spring harvest of the eulachon. The summer is a time of the sacred salmon, and the autumn a time of gathering the last of the forest's gifts before the storms return. The life we have shared for a short time in this story is a circle, a rhythm, a dance with the tides, the rains, and the spirits of a rich and powerful world. This was a civilization unlike any other. It was a society that achieved a level of wealth, of artistic complexity, and of social stratification that was comparable to many of the great agricultural empires of the world, but it did so without ever planting a single seed of corn or grain. It was a civilization built on the spectacular, almost unbelievable, abundance of the natural world. The people of the Northwest Coast were not simple hunters and gatherers. They were sophisticated resource managers, brilliant engineers, and artists of breathtaking skill and vision. Their world was not one of rugged individualism, but of profound, and often ruthlessly enforced, community and hierarchy. It was a world where your value was determined by your lineage, your status was validated by the wealth you could give away, and your life was lived in the constant, intimate, and smoky embrace of your extended family. We, in our modern world, often struggle to understand such a place. We are a people of the field, of the farm, our imaginations shaped by the orderly rows of agriculture. They were a people of the river and the sea, their imaginations shaped by the great, cyclical, and often violent pulse of the salmon run, by the deep, dark mystery of the rainforest. The world of the great longhouses, of the spectacular potlatches, of the time before the European ships arrived on the horizon, is gone. It was a world that was devastated by disease, by colonialism, by the suppression of its most sacred ceremonies. But it was not destroyed. The descendants of the people we have journeyed with tonight are still here. The Tlingit, the Haida, the Tsimshian, the Kwakwakawakwa, the Nuchanulth, the Coast Salish they have endured. They are engaged in a powerful and vibrant process of cultural renewal, of reclaiming their languages, their stories, their art, their ceremonies. The canoes are being carved again. The songs are being sung. The potlatch, though changed, is still a vital part of their world. Tonight, as you settle into your own home, a home that is likely filled with objects made by strangers in distant factories, a home where you may not even know the names of your next-door neighbors, Think of the world of the longhouse. Think of a life lived in a community so intimate that your own identity was inseparable from it. Think of a world where every object you used, from a simple spoon to a great ceremonial mask, was a work of art, imbued with a story, with a spirit. The world of the old northwest coast whispers to us of a different way of being human. It speaks of a life of deep connection to place, to family, to the spiritual world. It tells of a society that measured wealth not by what you owned, but by what you gave away. It is a story that, if we are quiet enough to listen, above the noise of our own time, we can still hear. It is an echo, carried on the cool, damp air of the coastal rain. And it is an echo of a beauty, a complexity, and a wisdom that we should never forget.